Hey guys, it's Steven from Steven's Classic Garage, and today I wanted to do a final review of the Kraut control arm brace. So that is I think it's a $150 brace from Kraut. And the last video, sorry, I'm still a little under the weather again. My dad and my brother got me sick. Last video I talked about the installation, and I wanted to wait to do a review to kind of see what I thought about it. Number one, so this is the conclusion, so I'm going to kind of recap everything, and then I'm going to go into last thoughts, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some other specifications that are kind of worrisome. So overall, it is about 9 pounds of steel, I think. Yeah, there's about 9 pounds of steel and powder coating that make up this brace. It is very, very well designed, very easy to install, great location to install it. So that's a recap of the last video. It's really, really great to install it. Very easy. You don't need a lift. You just need some jacks and a jack stand, and you can install it really easily, or even with just jack, or even with just a jack. Floor jack. So everything went really smoothly. It installed very quickly, and I immediately started experiencing the results with the brace. Now, with driving, it's definitely got way better control, way better stability, way less body lean. When I go up driveways, all of the cracking and all that stuff is not as serious as before. So that's really nice. So it doesn't do a whole bunch of cracking in the front end as you go up the driveway or whatever. So that's nice. Way stiffer. I believe that it will prevent cracking of the front end way more than without it. And 10 pounds is what? It's like 1% of the car's weight, less than 1% of the car's weight. The car weighs 1,600 pounds. So adding 10 pounds to double or triple the front end stiffness is definitely worth it, and I definitely feel more. What's it called? Confident with taking turns harder and steeper driveways, and feel more confident driving the car. But there is a drawback. And that main drawback comes with if your car is lowered. So pretty much instantly after I put together this bracket, I had issues with speed bumps. So as you can see, my car is already very low. Already, it is sitting on coilovers on all four corners. And so what happened is that putting that bracket in drastically dropped my ride height on or my clearance between some part of the car and the ground. And obviously that change has to do with the bracket. The bracket is where that change happened. Now if we look underneath, I'm sure that you could see that. You could see the distance between that back bracket and the ground. Actually, that back bracket, the very, very far back portion of that, is farther away from the ground. Now you have the middle cross brace, so that one just goes from left side to right side. And now you have the cross brace, which is the X, that is in the middle of the car, right below the flange for the exhaust. Now that one, if I measured between that and the floor, there is only 2 inches between, as you can see, empty. The car is empty. It has about maybe 50 pounds of steel inside, so relatively empty, and it's already at a 2-inch ride height above the ground. So that is what's happening. And also it is semi near the tire, so that is the good portion, is that it is near the tire when it goes over the speed bump. So that helps it out a little bit. But I think what it's hitting is it's hitting this back bracket on the speed bumps. So it's when I go over the other side of the speed bump, I hear like a hitting, and I scrape
going over the speed bump. So basically I go over the speed bump and I kind of slide down the backside. And I believe I'm sliding down the backside on the backside of this bar. Reason being is that it clears the backside of the tire. So what happens is as you're going down the speed bump, that's when you hit that back bracket. And when you hit that back bracket is when you have that scraping sound and you're rolling over the other side. So obviously that's not very good, because this is just a subframe car, and so it's connected to the floor pan of this car. So every time I hit, it might be bending in my floor pan a little bit every time I hit. So that's not that great. So what I ended up doing is I went and I bought some more steel, and I think that eventually what I would do is I would remate this bracket so that it's not kind of concave down, and instead it's just a straight bar. So instead of having this bar drop down like this and then up, I'll just have a straight bar going across. But that is not possible, I don't think, stock. So this is the bracket to use stock, because I don't know if you could see, but if I go lower here and I zoom in, you can see that my exhaust is just clearing it by maybe an inch, or maybe 3/4 of an inch. My exhaust is clearing it, and the flange over there might be able to clear it if I used straight cut bars in the middle section. But I think that I'm hitting this back section. Reason being is that this middle section is right in the center of the tire. So I think what I'm hitting is I'm hitting this back piece as I'm coming back down the other side, and that's why you kind of see that there's some sort of dragging there. Is that it probably dragged the powder coating off the first time I hit it. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that I think that this bar is basically, I think that this bar is great for stock cars, but maybe not that great for modified cars. So what I'm thinking that I'm going to do is I'm thinking that I'm going to modify that eventually. So obviously with stock, I think that you should run this bar, especially if you're not lowered, and this is the point that you have to be at to have an issue. Let me tell you guys right now. So basically I'm going to measure to the bottom of the door seal from as far forward as I could measure. So let's go ahead and open up the door. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see here I have from about where this plastic piece is here, I have about 9 3/4 to the door seal. So at about 9 3/4 from the door seal, where this plastic plug is, so from about there down, you're gonna have issues with this bracket. So so watch out for that. If you have 9 3/4 clearance at that grommet from the door sill, you're gonna have issues. 9 3/4 inches. So at that, basically what I would suggest that you do, and this is what I'm gonna do for the meantime, is that I don't really have a lot of options but to crank up the coilovers. Is to crank up the coilovers, or to put a straight bar on that, or to somehow take the bend out of it. But if I take the bend out of it, it's going to hit the exhaust. So most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the car another 2 inches or so. So but I will mediate the problem later when I do the turbo and I do a new exhaust and headers, because then I'll just route the headers closer to the inside of the tunnel and just put heat insulation in there. And then I could make even the car lower if I put a low profile oil pan. So this, in conclusion, this is a great oil pan. This is a great cross brace.
for a stock car that is not lowered drastically. If you're over 9 3/4 on lowering, or even higher at that door seal that I showed, you should have no problem with clearance over even the gnarliest looking of what's it called, of speed bumps. Other than that, it gives great control to the car. I definitely agree with everywhere that says that this is the best upgrade that you could get for these cars. I 100% agree. For the price of $150, I believe that this is definitely the best upgrade that you could do, and the easiest. It's really easy to do. Obviously, it's going to affect my ride height now, and I'm going to have to do some modifications later, but it's not that big of an issue. I'll fix that later. And even if I have to modify and make a straight bar, that'll work as well. But if you guys have something that's 9 3/4 or above ride height, this is definitely a great bar to use. Alright, I'll talk about this more further in other videos, but this is it for talking about this, and I'll see you guys next one.